Byron is an avid mountaineer, peak and rock climber, and backpacker. He's the San Diego chapter, he is a San Diego chapter outings leader and a WBC trip leader. He is also the chair of the chapter's mountaineering group. And tonight, Byron is going to talk to you about mountaineering on peaks of Class 5 and above. So please welcome Byron Cook.
He's getting wired up right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks, we've already got a wardrobe malfunction. All right, I'm Byron Cook, and I'm going to have you use your imagination here. My partner here, John Flo, will help me climb across the stage. And the whole thing you have to sort of imagine here is if the stage were turned straight up, and I'm going to demonstrate some of the techniques and some of the equipment that you would use for rock climbing. Right now, John is flaking out the rope, and this is a good way of checking it to see that there's like your rodent or whatever didn't shoot through it last night, and you only get halfway up and find your ropes cut in half. But what I'm doing here is I will be demonstrating a technique called trad climbing, and I've got enough gear on me to climb up the nose right now, so I should be able to get across the stage. But what we've done is we've got a harness on, and we've got a helmet, and we've got the gear to technically climb across the stage. There's a lot of other climbing techniques as well. This is probably one of the, I don't know, one of the more mainstream ones, trad climbing, but there's bouldering, there's sport climbing, where bouldering you just get a few feet off the ground, whereas the trad climbing, or you climb all the way up and do multi-pitch and do large mountains. And then sport climbing is where you're using just gear that you have bolts that are already pre-placed, and you'd be clipping to those bolts. So John here, he's going to connect my rope to him so that as I climb up, he pays out the rope, and I will clip to pieces on the stage here. And if I were to fall, he would actually catch me as I fall. And right now, we'll double check each other. He's got his helmet on, he's got his harness, his double back, and he securely locked me off, and I'm on the leg, right? Okay, climbing, and these are the commands that you normally go through when you're starting out to climb. So I'm going to scan ahead and see where I'm going to put my first placement here, and I'm climbing. So as I'm going up, I'm looking for a piece I can place my gear, and this would be like a typical placement here. There, I've got it locked off. So I'm clipping my rope to here. Now I climb up further. John's going to pay out the rope as I go along. Now let's say I'm not able to find a piece and I happen to fall. So John is going to lock off. You know, he'll see that I'm like sketchy or whatever. And he can actually hold me pretty easily with that technique. The only thing is I fall the twice the amount of the rope that I have already out. And then I get back on the wall, keep climbing. Falling is actually, it's not a really big deal when you're climbing. There are places where you don't want to fall, but you think about falling and you think, oh no, you can't fall. But climbing, it's getting used to falling. So it's all about absorbing the energy. So keep coming up, climbing. Now notice I've got a lot of different gear here. This is what we call a spring-loaded camming device, and as you pull back the trigger on this, the springs come out and it locks you into the rock. So there's a few years back when I was placing this one, I nearly fell. So I take a little crack and opening, find it, place it, put the gear to it, put the rope to it, and keep going. So And you want to do this every few feet, where you've got a piece of gear, where you're placing enough gear so that if you do fall, you're not going to fall very far. You don't want to have out more rope than what you're going to fall all the way to the ground. So here's a good placement. This is what we call a nut, or a passive piece of device, piece of connect, piece of aid, and you just place it into what would look like a good hole or a crack or whatever. And it doesn't need to have a spring-loaded cam device to make it work. Some people think they don't trust nuts, but nuts, I've seen them that they'll hold even better than spring-loaded cam devices. So then, let's say I'm going on up, and I run out of good placements. You can always carry a nice thing of duct tape. And you can take, don't really try this. So. You know I'm kidding with this. But, in this case, we'll make it work. Okay, let's say I'm coming up to the top here, I'm running it out. A lot of times, if you feel comfortable in it, you can run out your rope. But let's say I get to the top of the climb. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an anchor system so that John can come up behind me. And I do something like what we call a quarter left. And it's a way of quickly placing an anchor system at the top. And as soon as I get myself locked off up here, I'm going to use a command to tell John I'm off belay. Okay, John, off belay. All right. Now what I do is bring John up, and from there we can keep climbing onto the top of whatever mountain we're climbing. And mind you, I'm just giving a real quick rundown of this. There's a lot of technique to this equipment. And I'll put John on belay. Now, this is using the same device that John was bringing me up on. And I just put a bite of rope in here. And John's going to tie into the system. Bring the rope. That's you? Hey John, you're on belay. Okay, and as John, climb on. And as John comes up, what he's going to do is he's going to clear the gear that I've placed and put it on his harness and bring it up to me. And it's a pretty efficient thing. The hardest part I think about climbing is actually remembering to breathe. Because sometimes you get so wrapped up in it, you forget to breathe. So, John's really playing this quickly here. And he's not using a technique I wanted to show here. There's a nut tool I gave him. Sometimes it's difficult to pull those nuts out. And you have to use a little tool that we have here to make them get out of the rock. Because they get really tight in there. Okay. So come on out. This one's difficult, now you have to use a duct tape remover. Oh, it's all there. That would be bad if you had to take the hospital here to take him out. Okay, so John, he's coming up to the top of the anchor system almost here, and he's going to tie into the anchors. And I would take him off the way. Now once he's to the top, okay, he's using a specific device here called PAS, which allows him to flip off pretty quickly. Okay, once he gets to the top here, he's going to say off the leg. Alright, going to take you off the leg. And now we come to the real dilemma of climbing. What do you do when you get to the top? You're stuck here, right? So one thing we can do is we can both untie and we can rappel back down the route, or we can continue climbing on up or find a way to walk off. And we'll just show how to set up a rappel real quickly. So rappel, we're going to untie, and we would be still tied in, clipped in. I'm going to use my PAS device. Yeah. And clip in. Okay, now John's going to demonstrate the rappel. And what he's going to do is he's going to use his ATC device, which is the device that we use to belay each other up. And flip in, and we would take the rope and actually throw it. What's that? Straight back down, so that that's and you would rappel all the way back down to the ground. And that's basically rock climbing in a nutshell. If anyone has any questions or
Byron, does the mountaineering group have outings where you teach the basics?
Unfortunately, our insurance does not allow us to teach the basics. We expect that there are a lot of rock climbing classes out there through Adventure 16, REI does a basic clinic. The requirement is that you at least have a harness, your own harness, your own helmet, and you can usually rent the shoes. But that when it comes to the knots that you know how to use, that you would already know that, and that's the critical part. But once you get past that, and if you can't tie figure eight, no one's going to want to tie with you or climb with you anyway. So as long as you know how to belay and do a figure eight, you can go in the outings. They do have outings for, it's been there's a pretty limited amount of outings, but yeah, they do have outings. Joshua Tree, yeah. Joshua Tree. Not December. Yeah, the other chapters do December.
Any other quick questions? One back there.
When you rip all down, how do you get the rope?
Oh, that's a good question. We use a lot of times there'll be anchors at the top, and you can place it through the anchors, or they use special ways to place in these things called wrap rings. And that you can use a piece of webbing, like just a piece of webbing that you're going to discard or whatever, and use that with a wrap ring at the top. So very often you don't have to leave any gear at all. A lot of the things like in Joshua Tree, there's usually a set of anchors at the top, and a lot of places there's a set of anchors so you can wrap off of that.
Okay, Byron and John will be over here after class. Mike is over here. We want to take a look at his equipment, and Where is Rob? Rob is in the back corner if you want to talk to him some more. That's it for this evening. We will see you next week, 6:15, if you want to come to the early seminar on emergency shelters, or 7 o'clock for the class. See you then.